So, who is the best pound for pound? Who truly deserves the crown of boxing's pound for pound king? Terence Crawford's dominance? Usyk's historic heavyweight feats? And of course, you have Dmitry Bivol's technical brilliance, and they all make compelling cases. Fans and pundits, they remain divided because each fighter is boasting unmatched skills and legacy-defining victories. So as the debate heats up, the question lingers: who really stands atop of the sport as the best of the best? So we're just going to talk about pound for pound, who is the best, and we'll look at a traditional list. But before we start start mentioning names, I think there's an important question to ask, and that is, what is the criteria for scoring someone as pound for pound the best? How does someone get into the top 10? What's the criteria? And from what I've seen, there is a bit of a criteria, which is number one is skill level. Number two is achievements. Number three is resume strength. Resume strength and achievements are quite similar. And then there's dominance, and then there's intangibles. Now, I would further add to that cultural impact, because I think cultural impact is really important. So let's take a previous fighter and let's see how they do with regards to this resume. So if you take someone like Manny Pacquiao, high skill level, great speed, great footwork, different angles. With regards to achievements and resume strength, you have victories over Oscar De La Hoya, who is a modern day great. You have victories over Ricky Hatton, who is a champion. You have a tremendous victory over Miguel Cotto, again, who is a champion. And you just have a variety of different champions on his CV. And he's won belts, I believe, in different weight divisions. So when you look at the achievements and resumes of Manny Pacquiao, you can definitely see that it's up there, it's high. When we get to dominance, if you look at the the three performances against Miguel Cotto, the performance against Ricky Hatton, and the performance against Oscar De La Hoya, you can see that there was significant dominance. The performance against Miguel Cotto, I thought, was absolutely sensational. I felt like Miguel Cotto came in very motivated and, of course, is a great fighter. And Manny Pacquiao just went to a different level. Against Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was a pressure fighter, a very good pressure fighter with a good left hook. He would go to the right and then hit you with that left hook to the body, and he would just constantly give pressure. And that knockout victory against Ricky Hatton, who has a good chin, who had great punch resistance at the time, was just chilling. It was brutal. It was a true symbol of dominance. And the Oscar De La Hoya fight, now, of course, the Oscar De La Hoya fight, there's some variables there because clearly he didn't come in the best shape, but that's not Manny Pacquiao's fault. He was at the end of his career, but Manny Pacquiao clearly dominated that fight. And again, these are all reference points. These are all evidence of a fighter that ticks all of those boxes. So let's go into this. So on most people's list, number one is Usyk. That's understandable. He's got an elite skill level. The main thing about Usyk is being able to solve the problems that are put in front of him. He's able to adapt. His adaptation skills are very good. This is referenced in the second Anthony Joshua fight when Anthony Joshua brought a better game plan and he looked like he had Usyk in trouble in round 9. Usyk made the adjustments, and in round 10, he went to what I called matrix level. And he just excelled. And I think that just illustrates that Usyk has great boxing IQ. Again, against Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury had a great 5th round and a great 6th round. But then in round 9, Usyk hit him with that counter left hook, or that counter left. And that set up a barrage of punches where he nearly knocked Tyson Fury out. But he won a decision. And then he won the rematch against a fighter, Tyson Fury, who is considered one of the greats and is considered a fighter that has high IQ. So you can see there that Usyk has the achievements. He has the resume. Also, additionally to that, he has a spectacular cruiserweight resume because he was the undisputed cruiserweight champion. So he has that resume of being undisputed cruiserweight champion and undisputed heavyweight champion. And then we have the dominance. We have the dominance of the cruiserweight division and the dominance of the heavyweight division. Also, I would say he has a cultural impact, not only for Ukraine, but also globally. This is reflected in the pay-per-view numbers in the Tyson Fury rematch. So I can understand why people have him as number one. Now at number two, most people have Inoue as their number two. Now Inoue has total dominance. He has a great skill level first. He has good punching creativity. He hits you with the 3 left hooks in a row. I remember he throws like a double jab, right hook to the head, left hook to the body, left hook to the head. Let's do that again. Double jab, right hook to the head, left hook to the body, left hook to the head. Really great punch creativity, good ring generalship, great footwork. I remember someone compared him to like Bruce Lee, and he has a total dominance. The unfortunate thing about Inoue is that he hasn't had, from what I've seen, that dancing partner. And most great fighters have a dancing partner. I always give the reference to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali had some great dancing partners, whether it was Sonny Liston, because Sonny Liston was a feared heavyweight. So when he beat him, that excelled his career. He had the trilogy with Joe Frazier, which was spectacular events. And then he had that spectacular fight with George Foreman. So in a sense, a fighter excels based on the strength of his opposition, and Inoue is just totally dominated. So from a domination point of view and from a skill set point of view, you've got to put him up there. It's just unfortunate he hasn't had that dance partner. He's had that dominance. In Japan, he has that cultural impact. He's massive in Japan. And fortunately, that seems to be transferring to Britain as well. So Inoue, I think, is definitely a deserved number two. Then we have number three, which is Terence Crawford. Now, I read in the comments and online that Terence Crawford doesn't have a good CV. This is clearly very silly. He has a great CV. That's one of his strengths. He's beaten lots of former champions. Crawford has shown elite boxing IQ. He's dominated. You know, when he fought Errol Spence, before the fight, people said it was 50-50. When he totally dominated Errol Spence, people said that, oh, well, Errol Spence he wasn't the same. He wasn't, he wasn't the fighter he was. But they didn't have that narrative before the fight. The truth of the matter is that the Errol Spence fight was a super fight to determine who is the best. And Terence Crawford just excelled. The uppercut that he hit, the uppercut that he landed on Errol Spence was truly awesome and just showed how meticulous he is with his punch selection. Again, he covers all the aspects: skill level, exceptionally high skill level, achievements resume, and a dominance as well. A true dominance. Apart from his last fight where he stepped up in weight, who was competitive with Terence Crawford, And he seems like, similar to Usyk, he seems to be able to go up the gears. And I think for a long time, when we talk about cultural impact, Terence Crawford has gone under the radar, but now he's starting to get that attention. Fortunately or unfortunately, the outcome of the Canelo fight will probably determine whether he upholds that number 3 position or whether he transcends it. Only time will tell. Number 4, I think a lot of people will put this person at number 3, is Dmitry Bivol. Everyone stopped talking about Dmitry Bivol, but when you look at Dmitry Bivol, he has a great jab, high skill level, high boxing IQ, reference point, the Canelo fight, second reference point, the Butterbeer fights. Those 2 fighters are elite fighters, so that means he has a strong resume. Dominance. Bivol has a skill dominance, but he's not a knockout puncher. So his dominance is his ring generalship. It's not a Mike Tyson type of dominance. It's not a George Foreman type of dominance. It's more like a Floyd Mayweather type of dominance, outskilling his opponent. Cultural impact is interesting because it feels that people are not talking about Bivol at the moment. And unfortunately, his tremendous fight against Butterbeef, the rematch, the pay-per-view did not perform strongly. However, he does have a cultural impact because the Butterbeer fights, despite maybe not performing economically as well as many would have expected, he still got a lot of exposure in those fights. And he got a tremendous amount of exposure in the Canelo fight, which he would have been the underdog. And he put on a tremendous performance against Canelo. And he was able to take the power of Canelo, and he was able to outpoint him. And he was obviously Canelo. I felt like Bivol won that fight comfortably, even though obviously Canelo was competitive at times. I felt that Bivol won that comfortably, and I think that he definitely has a great resume. And but the Butterbeer fight, this person was billed as like the light heavyweight Mike Tyson. People did not want to fight Butterbeer, and even when Butterbeer arm punches, apparently they're like bricks in his hands. You know, he just punches so ferociously hard, and he had some ferocious knockouts. It's undeniable that he's a power puncher because of his record. Before Bivol, I believe he had 100% knockout rate. I believe it's either I believe it was 100%. And the way he would just damage opponents with these short little punches. Reference point, Callum Smith, very good fighter, former world champion, and he totally dominated him. And he's had many dominant victories. Yet Bivol went in there, and I think the first fight was very close. I thought Bivol won that fight. But in the second fight, it looked like Butterbeer was going to take over. And then Bivol went into what I call the Matrix mode. He just went to a different place, and Butterbeer couldn't keep up with him. And previously, no one had been able to keep up with Butterbeer. So I feel that performance is so strong that I could understand why a lot of people would be tempted to put him at number 3. Interestingly, if they do have a trilogy with Butterbeer and he wins it in a dominant fashion, I think there's a strong argument there to put him higher on the list. Number 5 is Butterbeer. You know what? I'm surprised about that rank. Initially, before the Bivol fights, you would definitely put him in the top 3 because of the total dominance. But I feel that the Bivol fight, I think a lot of people might have Butterbeer lower than the number 5. And I feel like his rank is still up for grabs, so to speak. And it will be dependent on what happens in the Bivol trilogy. Then we have number 6, which is Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, multi-division champion, undisputed flyweight champion, has beaten former champions. So again, we have the skill level, the achievements, the resume, maybe not the cultural impact, which is a category that I've inserted, but definitely based on technical ability and achievements, deserves to be there. Then you've got Jontu Nakatani. Hope I've pronounced that right. Again, a multi-division champion, unbeaten, and has knockout power even at a lower rate. So even though he's at a lower weight, it's very hard to be a power puncher at a lower weight. And again, he's had signature wins. So that's number 7. And number 8, we have Canelo Alvarez. And I feel like Canelo Alvarez has run titles in 4 different divisions. He has a great resume. The Triple G fights, the Triple G trilogy, that really said a lot. The first fight was a draw. A lot of people thought Golovkin won, but in the second fight, not only did he win, I felt like he kind of dominated. It was competitive, but he took the center of the ring, and then he finished the trilogy with a relatively dominant win. So you have to give him a lot of credit for that. He beat Sergey Kovalev, who at one point Sergey Kovalev was just absolutely dominating everyone, and he knocked Sergey Kovalev out. You've got other great fighters on the resume. Miguel Cotto, Billy Joe Saunders was a good fighter, a good champion. Callum Smith, etc. I understand why he's number 8. He definitely could jump up if he has a victory against Terence Crawford. It would depend on the manner of that victory. Would I put him in number 8? I don't. It's a hard one, isn't it? Like, I felt like his last performance was not great. Didn't like his last performance. And I guess one of the things when you're ranking pound for pound, does your latest performance, does that impact where you stand? And you would think the answer to that would be yes. And that last performance was just not inspiring at all. But you know, all the greats always have a bad night. So um, Canelo Alvarez is obviously an elite fighter. Obviously, pound for pound, you can understand why he's in the top 10. But he hasn't been in the best form recently, and I think his next fight will kind of determine where he sits at that top 10. Then you got number 9, Shakur Stevenson. He hasn't got the power, but he's similar to the Floyd Mayweather situation: elite defense, elite footwork, and elite counter punching. And he has dominance, not a Mike Tyson type of dominance, but again, like a Floyd Mayweather type of dominance. It's his ring generalship that really excels him. And then you got David Benavidez, which is a controversial one. He's a multi-WBC champion. He's unbeaten, and he's a dominant fighter. He loves loading up with those left hooks. So actually throws them, that's pretty unfair because he throws those short left hooks. He puts loads of pressure, effective pressure, and he's unbeaten. And he's currently a dominant fighter. I think you might be able to question the resume. He has good achievements, but there's a difference between having good achievement and elite level achievement. So he doesn't have the resume of a Usyk or a Terence Crawford. So I think a lot of people may not have him in the top 10, but I can definitely understand that. Again, there would be questions. I saw a video recently where people were saying, who would you put as number 11? Who would you put as number 12? Again, I think Jay Opataya, he's definitely up there. He's on a really good run. Unbeaten, southpaw, has speed, has power. But yeah, I feel like that pound for pound list is really strong, and I think there's going to be some significant movement, particularly with the Terence Crawford fight. And the Terence Crawford and Canelo fight, I think, will determine where they will be in the top 10. And also the Bivol and Butterbeer trilogy, if that happens, that again will determine where they will both sit in the top 10. So, but I definitely agree that Usyk, it's Inoue or Usyk that should sit at number 1. And Usyk has had phenomenal performances, probably at the end of his career. But he's had such a dominant, he's been dominant at the heavyweight division. And in his last fight, it's like he's introducing this new version of Usyk, which is now a power puncher. So I'm really intrigued to see who he fights next and how he performs.